My question has to do with I like to call it the make-believe world that my wife and I live in now. And what stage in the progression of the disease can you get into it? By that I mean, I was a year, both of us were out of college before we met, and as the years have gone by with her dementia, she has moved back in years. So she's now probably in high school or junior high. As far as her recollection, she asks about her grandmother, but never about her children. She doesn't know she has children. She doesn't know of her husband. Now, my question is that I have often, many times said that the easiest part of the Alzheimer's is the late stages, because you don't go through the mental agony of worrying about what's happening to me, am I going crazy, things like that. And in my case, it becomes now a courtship. Now, my question has to do, I'm frequently asked by people when they hear me say, what a wonderful time my wife and have now is, what do you do? And I say to start innocent fibs relatively early on as a way of, the ones that you can explain as, oh gosh, I'm wrong, to judge how they're progressing, to measure what you can get away with to make life happier. Does that make sense?
It does. And the question really, there's two things to capture from this question. One is, remember those heroes I was talking about? There's one right here. How long have you been taking care of your wife?
Well, she's in a nursing home now 4 years. I took care of her for probably 12 or 13.
12 or 13 years.
Pardon?
Okay. 12 or 13 years.
I did, yes. That's from the first
12 or 13 years,
problems.
day in and day out. I mean, that's just a pretty amazing thing when you think about what this gentleman did. And he's gotten to a point where he finally, after more than a dozen years, had to make a decision about her entering a nursing home. A terribly difficult decision to make. I'm going off on your question, and I know that's not where you were going with this question, but that is just a tough, tough thing to do. And he clearly is going in to visit her and understands all the issues that she has. How often do you visit her?
Well, usually every other day, and sometimes every day. Depends on scheduling.
Every day to every other day.
2 days.
Every day or every other day, he leaves his house to visit this lady who doesn't know who he is right now. There are few things that have more dedication than that. Few things in terms of love, understanding. You are my hero. I will tell you, you are just a great guy. Having said that, his question is about what I talked about earlier. What can we do in terms of innocent fibs, I think you described it?
Well, yes, innocent fibs that you can get away with in order to measure where they are.
The reality of it is it is what I was talking about in terms of entering their reality. His reality, it's a fib. Her reality, it's real. And we have a tendency to say, oh, I'm lying. You are lying if you don't enter her reality. So for her reality, don't try to pull her back into your reality, into your world, which I know you're not doing, but it is a mistake that many people think happens. I've even had people come in and say, I know she's doing this on purpose just to get at me. I'm telling you, they can't remember what they had for breakfast. They're not strategizing about how to get at anybody. These are things that are completely part of the disease process. And so for him, he is saying, what can I do that allows her to be accepting of our discussion, and what can I do to sort of have a sense of what she does recall and what she doesn't recall? And so her image of herself may be a much younger person. And for sometimes, I have some patients who look in a mirror and wonder who that individual is that's on the other side of the window.
Specific part to my question too.
Go ahead.
It has to do with my behavior as how I treat my girlfriend.
So he has now entered a different stage because he talks about it now as his courtship, because her mind still recalls things that happened when she was in college. It doesn't recall things that happened around their 50th wedding anniversary. And so in this circumstance, he is saying, hey, I've got to be able to get back there where we were together, and I have to continue the relationship where we were together, and I have to talk about things that were common when we were in college and not so much talk about what's going on now. And that's really very insightful for him to do that, because that's exactly what we do with various Alzheimer's units and things like that. If you walk onto an Alzheimer's unit, you will see pictures of the beach and people dressed in a different period of clothing. You will see baseball players, not from the current World Series team, but you will see baseball players more along the lines of the Babe Ruths, the Mickey Mantles, the whoever were playing at whichever era they seem to have reached. If you look at golf clubs, none of them have titanium shafts. You'll notice that they're all older hickory shafts on most of the pictures that you see on an Alzheimer's unit. And so it is bringing the reality that is tangible for those individuals that have lost much of their recent memory. And that strategy is a helpful strategy. It provides them comfort, and what we're talking about is comfort for the day, comfort for the moment. And he goes in every single day, maybe every other day. The reality of it is if he went in once a week, she wouldn't notice much difference. He's going in every day or every other day for him. It's for her at the moment, and it is helpful for her at the moment. And so it is okay as a caregiver, and I want to emphasize this, it is okay for a caregiver to take some time off, to take a break. We just talked about a day at the beach over at Moorings Park for our caregivers, where we are scheduling a day just to go to the beach. And it's a prescription for a day at the beach. So Dr. Gloth is writing a prescription that says, do not visit your loved one today, go to the beach. And there will be a bus that will take them to the beach, it will provide lunch, and they will have a day at the beach, and then they can come back. And the purpose is for them to do nothing but just relax. For some of them, I should have 2 days, a day before the beach and a day at the beach, so they can get all the things done that they haven't been able to do while they've been going in and doing everything else related to their loved one, and then a day where they can actually relax. But the emphasis is really on the caregiver, and you have to recognize that you have to take some time off. And it is a good thing to do that. It is not going to be detrimental to your loved one, but it will be very, very helpful to your loved one because it will be helpful to your own health and for you to get some things done.
Okay, now the final one, and I won't lost you again.
Okay.
It's
helpful for everybody else.
There are many people here, all of them, care and love their spouses and love their loved ones as much as I do. I have noticed that some of them like resurrect where they were, bring in pictures of the family and all this. Well, this angel beside me here has taken me to the woodshed many times. One of them was relatively early on when I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and my wife was not in bed. And I went out looking for her. She was wandering around the living room looking for our daughter who had been killed 20 years ago. And I finally, in my stupid innocence, and I say that because I really believe it and was told that too, that I was having the daughter die all over again. Yeah,
that actually is fairly common. And just to embellish on that a little bit, the daughter who had died previously, is there any benefit at all to telling that loved one who forgot that the daughter died, your daughter died in a car accident? Because you're exactly right. She has to go through that mourning period and that tragedy all over again. And every time, and it's going to come up again and again. You cannot continue to remind them of that. That's going to be a very difficult thing to do each time. So you're right. You should not talk about the loss of your mother, the loss of your daughter, the loss of anyone else. Talk about the good times as if that person was still alive with them, and relive memories that you have of the positive things of when that individual was alive, and there's no reason for them not to continue to think that individual is around.